Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new. Let me see what I'm doing. Welcome to a brand new episode of the our Filemaker series for how to create a solution for your business. I'm kind of a little off for words this morning. I don't know why, but let's start right into it. So, if your date at the top is still on 12/8, which would be the last time we actually had anything to do with it, just go ahead and select the execute button, and it will automatically change it to the date. So, because it's going to change it anytime anything happens at all on the page. So if you touch anything, it'll automatically change the date. And that's kind of what we're looking for. Now we do need to go into real quick, we're going to start building the system. We're going to start kind of making it into what we want it to do. So we're going to go ahead and manage our layouts, the very first thing that we're going to do this morning. And we want to create a new folder. So the new folder that we're going to do is we're going to call this new folder product pages. And just 2 words, and we'll call that good. So now we have product pages, and we're going to take this template, which is our template menu page, and we're going to duplicate that page, and then we're going to grab it and we're going to move it down into the product pages. Now we want to edit that page because we need to give it a specific name. And what I'm going to do is call this the category page, and we'll call that OK. Now if what we do is we go ahead and close this out, and we go into our little drop down layout window, and we go into product pages, you'll see category page. Go ahead and go to the category page, make sure that you're on the category page, and now we can actually start to make some changes on this. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to go into this and change what this says, and we'll call this we can either call this the main menu or category. And I'm just going to call mine the category page. And if we click off, you see it just goes right where it's supposed to go, and that's great. We don't really need to make any major changes to this. What we're doing is we're creating the page so that we actually have that page. Now we need to go back to our edit layout, manage layouts. And we go back to our template menu page, and we duplicate that again. And this time we're going to move it back down underneath the product pages. It's pretty simple. You just grab these little tiny up and down arrows. There's like little up and down arrows. Just kind of grab a hold of that, hold on to your left click button, and drag it down where you want to, and it'll move right into that little basket area where you want it to be. So with this highlighted, we do need to edit it, and we need to call it something. So on our very first category, you can name it whatever you want to. I would suggest, depending on what you're going to use your category page for, you just name it pretty much whatever you want to. Try and keep these alphabetized if you can, so that you kind of your different pages, so you kind of know what it is that you're actually looking for. So I'm going to call mine this particular page. I'm just going to call it clothing. And we'll call that one good. So now what we can do is we can now start to create an ability to go from point A to point B. So we'll close this, and we will let's grab one of these buttons, just any one of the buttons, and we're going to type in the word clothing. Now right now we want it to do nothing. Well, let's just go ahead. No, let's just do nothing. Let's just do nothing, because I want to show you guys how to make this thing work. So what happens is if I were to change this to 24, which is the standard size that I want it to be, and I want it to be bold. Actually, I want this to be Bookman Old Style because I'm very much into the Bookman Old Style. And it doesn't necessarily need to be bold, so let's unbold it. There we go. So clothing. Now you can make this any way that you want to. You can change it. I noticed that my little things on the sides were okay. So, because if you go into these, if you grab these and you go into your inspector, what happens is when you look at the positions and you look at what is actually locked and not locked in the appearance, that's what we're looking for, in the appearance. So we see that our margins are 6 and 6. And we can zero these out or put 1 and call them good. Click on anything else. The thing about these is that by adding these to say 1 and 1, it keeps the thing, it keeps it in the center and it keeps it looking really good, and you can go all the way to the edges of it without really kind of messing with it at all. These are all 6s. Matter of fact, I can just highlight all of them. Type in 1, type in 1. So just real quick make a few changes to these. Okay, now that we've got those all set, you can see that our up and down, it's in the center. That's kind of right where we want it to be, is right in the center. So we're just going to go ahead and leave it the way it is. Now you can change these if you want to. By taking this, just by taking this little thing, you can actually change it to whatever sense of the word that you want to change it to. You can change the color of them. You can make them, you know, different ones, different colors, whatever the case might be. And if you remember correctly, what we did was these are actually pop-outs. So we have these little pop-outs that we can use as well for quick sales and for other whatever things that we need to. If we have specialty pages that we want to go to, we can do that as well. So now we have to tell this clothing button what we want it to do, because remember, we are on the category page. We are on the category page. I can't stress that enough. You have to make sure that you're on the right page, because if we program this into a template, it'll follow us wherever we go. So now that we're on category page, we'll go ahead and we'll double click on the clothing button. I guess I should edit the layout first. Okay, so we'll double click on the and now we're going to just tell it to do a single step. And if you just click on this white spot and you type in go, it'll say go to layout, or go to field, then go to layout. So we'll double click on the go to layout, go to the original, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our, and that's the reason why we're adding these folders, because if you look at that, there's clothing right there. So we will click the clothing button and we'll say OK. So now when we exit the layout, we'll go straight to a clothing line, and as you can see, it now says this label. But we now have an issue with this menu button, because the menu button is not working. So let's go back into our layouts and we'll manage. It's not what I want to do. I want to go into, we're starting to get to the point where we can actually start to do that. And we want to make sure that we do it now, so that any pages that we bring out of our template page will all be the same. They'll all do the same thing. So the menu page, we'll just tell it that we want it to perform a single step, and we want it to go to a specific layout, and that layout will be the category page. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to do this for the exact same thing. Now, the exit button is a different story. The exit button, you can either just tell it to exit. Like if you were to double click on, let's go here. If you were to double click on this exit button and tell it to perform a single step, you could type in the word exit, and it'll be exit application. So that will take you completely out. It'll close the program, everything. Close it all the way down. In some places, we like to, when you push exit, I like to go to an exit page where you can either log off or it just kind of starts everything all over again. And so today we're going to kind of center our attention on an exit page. So let's go ahead and cancel that, and let's create an exit page. So in order to create an exit page, we're just going to go to our layouts, manage our layouts, and template menu is probably going to be the one that we want. So we'll click on template menu and we'll duplicate that. And then we're going to drag that down just underneath product pages, or you can put it in your admin manage page. Either is just fine. I personally like it to be in the admin management section. And we'll edit it, and we're going to call it the exit page. Or actually, let's call this the entry page. Entry page. Because it's an entry and an exit page, but it's primarily designed for an entry page. And we'll say, okay. And now what we need to do is we need to go to that page so we can start fixing it and doing the things that we need to do. So under the admin manage, it's called the entry page. We'll click that and we're already here. It's very quick how it happens. It's so quick that you don't even see a blink or anything. It just appears where we want it to be. Well, we don't need a lot of this stuff. We need to get rid of a lot of this stuff. But I do want to go ahead and keep this menu, invoice, well, a couple of these buttons, but not near like what you're seeing here. So I do want to go ahead and get rid of all of these buttons because these are not going to work for me. And I want to get rid of, depending on, this a lot depends on you guys. How many registers do you want? How many registers do you need in your space? In your business. I do want to get rid of the quantity button. So if I have, and in this particular instance, I'm just going to go ahead and use 6, and I'm going to make them much larger. And I'm going to get them dead in the center. And we'll increase them. We're going to get rid of this. This I'm going to click on. We're going to just take care of this label really fast. And we'll call this entry entry layout, entry page, entry. You can name it whatever you want to. I guess I'll just go with the entry page because I think that'll work okay. And we do want our administrator security because you want to be able to, what we're looking for is if you want to go to admin, there you go. There is your way to get to admin. Now you can do that by just making one of these buttons an admin and one of these buttons a back office if you want to. Either is fine. And how you do that is if you remember this execute button, or if you remember the script that we wrote for the execute button, you can actually just apply that to one of these buttons. Or you can create this button to be the same size and just put it in its place. So if you take this button and we move it over to here, you can actually take the button and increase it to the right size. We're going to kind of put it in the middle. That way, because it will snap to the right size, which is exactly what we want it to do. Snap to the right size. And we'll pull it off, and then we'll just delete this one. And so now our execute button will work for this. And we can actually erase it now, and we can create the admin. So we can now call it admin. This button I want it to be like menu 1 or register 1 or whatever you want to. Menu 1 seems to be the easiest so that you don't get too complicated. But if you want to, you can write, you can just write register, and then I can show you how to put a badge in there. So we can do register. And right now we just don't want it to do anything until we get to that point. And we want it to be a 24. Now you can make these bigger because obviously we now have a much larger space. We have a much larger space that we get to work with. So you can make it, let's see, 36. 36 looks pretty good. It is a bit big for what I'm actually looking for because it's kind of hard to put in, you know, make it really into something cool. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll go back to the 24. And so now what we can do is we can either type in a number or we can put in a badge. And that's pretty simple just by adding a text. So a text, you can write the word 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever that you want to. And I'm going to show you how to do this so that it looks really super professional and really super good. So what we'll do is you have to click off of it. And then we'll go in and we'll go to 24. And we will use Bookman old style. So we're keeping it exactly the same. But if you notice, now if you try to put this down here, it's going to look kind of funny. Right? One thing that I want to do right off the bat is I want to extend it all the way to the outside edges. Because by extending it all the way to the outside edges, it gives us a base of where we need to be, and we can get dead center of that by simply going to the align to center text. And now everything is dead in the center. So if we go here, we can go into our top line, our padding is what it's called, and we can decrease this padding number to 0. And we can increase the bottom padding number, which will also rise that number. As you can see, it's rising. And now if we grab this 1, we can use our directional keys and we can just raise it up to where it looks good. And now if we go to this one, now if you remember if you remember where this number was, like where your padding is on this one, that's just fine. If you don't remember where your padding is on that one, that's also just fine. You can grab this one and delete it. You can grab this one, make sure that you get all of it. Hold the control button and move it over to the side so that it lines up perfectly. Let go of the control button, let go of the left click. And now we can go into here, double click on this, delete. I backspaced a couple of times and then deleted it, and we can type in the word 2. And now we have, it's the same. Does that make sense? Everything is like the same. And if you don't like how that looks, you can, 1, 2, 3, we can lower that 1, 2, 3, so that it's both, now it's better, I guess. It's visually more appealing in this particular sense. So we have register 1, register 2, register 3, and those would be assigned. So you would assign someone to a tablet, and that tablet would be register 1, or you could have this as tablet. So if you're using, you can't run multiple registers on a single tablet. I mean, you can, in a sense, but you can't have them all open at the same time. So a single tablet, you can select either one that you want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want. That's fine. You can make that happen. Or you can just have a specific tablet for a specific purpose. So you can say, this tablet is Mary's, and Mary, you are assigned register 1. And this tablet is John's, and John, you are assigned register 2. So whenever you log in under register 2. You log in under register 1. You log in under register 3. But I'm just kind of showing you, giving you a taste of how you can achieve multiple registers very, very, very simply. So this, you can, we're done with the exit. the menu and the invoice. Now, if you want to, you can use these buttons for anything that you want and change the name. That's not a big deal. So if I grab this button, which is the exit button, and I move it over and line it up, get it exactly right, I can now increase it till it gets there. And now what I want to do with this, because I'm kind of a dork, is I'm going to spread these out till they reach there, and then I will narrow them down just a little bit. And these buttons can be used for any purpose. So if you wanted a time card, if you wanted to have if you wanted to use the system to have people log in for time, like what time did you show up? I showed up at 9:30. Well, this will log time for you if you want it to. So you can just change the name. So this can be, time, or timesheet, or time card, or whatever. Time card. This one you can use as a management button. You can use it as a whatever you want to. If you're just adding inventory, you can go into what we call an inventory check. So I'm going to just delete this and write inventory. And the reason why I'm doing the inventory, and I don't want to do the invoice, I don't want someone just to go straight to an invoice. That would be bad. But this inventory window, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this. This is pretty amazing what we're going to do on the inventory window. We're going to create a window where someone can go in and verify the inventory. So on the tablet, so they can take their tablet around and they can say, oh look, there's 10 of this product, and they can scan through and find that product. And if it's wrong, they click on one of the spaces there for that, and it will take them to the product, and they can actually make a change, and then that change can be either reviewed and or accepted by management, or it can just be automatically accepted. And what we like to do is, I like to, if you're adding product to it, is to make it a green number, to have like a report, so that's a green number if you're adding to it, and a red number if you're subtracting from it. So if you're supposed to have 50 and you've only got 42, it would be a red number. So it would be a decrease, and then you would have to approve that. So if the quantity, the pre-existing quantity, is less than the new quantity, type it in red and get management approval. Pretty simple. So those are things that we can do. The invoice one is currently, we'll just go ahead and we'll just call it unused for now. But it can be anything that you want to. It's your business. You do whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. So now, basically in this system, we still have the administrator. So if we type in our number and we go to admin, it'll take us to our admin section. But now we need to start programming some of these buttons, right? In our admin section. Now remember, the admin section is both for, because we're going to do one for admin and one for management. Let's see, did we do that already? It's been a while since I've been messing around with this, so we'll go ahead and find out. Manage our layout. So we did. We do have a back office one, so we're good to go. So let's go ahead and program some buttons really super fast. So in the exit button, we just want it to do one thing, single step, and we want it to go to, so go to the layout, the original layout, and we're going to call that the entry page. So now it will go to the entry page. And the execute button is for a security window. If we need a security window. Okay, so if we need a security window to get to something that's highly secure, or the if section or whatever, that's fine. And then this menu button will take us to Of course, we don't need a menu button, do we? So these buttons on the bottom, I guess we'll just leave them, but this will at least give us a way to get out of there. I will come up with a brilliant plan to actually use these bottom buttons for something, but as of right now, there is really no reason to have them. So I will just use this as, I'll just say unused, and I'm going to copy. I'm going to Control C that. So when I double click on these, I can just Control V these, copy and paste. And that way I get it all. I'm great to go, I'm good to go, all that neat stuff. So if we go to exit our layout, we see that it's 12:8 because we've made no changes. We've done nothing to the page. It will change as soon as we leave or we touch anything or we make any changes to this. We can also go in actually, and if we edit the layout, let's see, manage database, the date, creation date. So modification. And we can change it to anything that we want to. We can change that so that it will happen. We do want it to be a modification of the date. But we can change it to a timestamp as well if we want to. So timestamp, date, number. But if we do want to change it to a timestamp, we actually have to change it here. So like here it says date. We would actually have to create a timestamp, which is a Control M. And right now we don't really care to do that. It can just be a date, so we'll just call it good. So now if we exit, it should, let's go to exit. Let's go to 1, 2, 3, 4. And our admin should change. Ta-da, it changed. So now we kind of have this round tree circle, right? But we still need register 1. So we'll just double click on, we have to edit the layout. We'll double click on register 1, and we want it to do something. Perform a single step. A lot of this is just basic stuff, guys. It's just super, super basic today. But I just kind of wanted to we want to start building those outside pieces. We want to start building the structure, the form of this, because we've already built a really good foundation. So now we're just basically starting to build that structure, and we're going to bring that structure together in the end. But there are a lot of tertiary things onto this, like we're going to have a reporting menu or a reporting window or layout so that we know what's going on as it's going on. We have several inventory things that we need to do, a lot of inventory things that we need to do. And we need to also finish our invoicing. And then we need to make sure that our invoicing, that we can duplicate that. So we're going to tell it to go to, and this, we're going to say go to layout. And the layout that we're going to go to is going to be our category page. Now, if you have multiple deals, multiple registers, I'm going to tell you right now, you will have to recreate all of these. But because they're in a file, it will be easier to do. So category page. Call that okay. You know, what I was just thinking of is one of the issues that I had when I was creating multiple deals, I was doing multiple registers. So if I go to register 1, this will do nothing. This is my primary category page, which takes me to clothing. The menu will do nothing, because we don't want it to do anything. So the only thing that's actually going to do anything is the exit button. Let me see. Let's go to our templates and our template menu page. Because I think we started to do something here. We did. We created a menu button. So let's edit that. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this for a reason. and you guys will understand really quick. So instead of doing a single step, I'm going to tell it to perform a script. And the script is, and you know, I will show you guys how to create envelopes for your scripts or files for your scripts so that you can keep them segregated. So this one, we're going to call this one menu 1. Menu 1. Oh, why did I just do that? Delete. We need to add one. Then call it menu 1. That's so funny. I was typing that into a different box. I was like, what? This is not working. Okay, so from here, it's pretty simple. I have in my favorites already go to layout. So we'll just go to the layout, and we want it to go to the category page. And we'll call it good. And we'll call it good. Now the reason why we did that is because when you get to, if you have all of your pages individualized, when we go to we manage our layouts, and we have a products page file here. And if we go to our products page and we duplicate it, what happens is, I'm going to see if I can expand this just a little bit. What happens is when you come to here, guess what? You have a category page and a clothing page. And when you come to here, you have a category page and a clothing page. And you see how we've duplicated that stuff? So the problem that we now have is that they all have the same scripting. But with these new pages, we can change the script for the menu button for those, and it'll apply to all of them versus having to go through individually and change all of that stuff. But we do want to make sure that we have access. So just remember, if you're going to do more than one, if you're going to do more than one deal, that you're going to have to deal with that. So for our copy, we're going to go ahead and close it down, and we're just going to delete it for now because I don't really want to. I don't want to create that right now. When you have more than one menu or more than one register, you have to have duplications or duplicates of everything for it to go to. Now you can use, if you want to, you can use the same. You can use the same inventory, but you can't use the same menus, because if you're pushing a button and they're pushing a button and everybody's pushing different buttons, things change. It gets to be erratic and crazy. So the best thing to do is, if you're going to do this stuff, is to have your template menu, and then you can recreate a template menu, which is this thing, and you can recreate it as a template menu 2, a template menu 3, and then just recreate. Once you get your first one done, then just go back and recreate all of the things that you just did for all of the other ones. But the good thing is, if you've got all of your pages done, if all of your pages are done, and you've put all your product in there, and you've done, whatever, you can change the scripting on those, and you can do all kinds of things. So you can say, calculation-wise, it gets very confusing, and I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. I'm going to confuse you guys before the day is through. I guarantee it. So let's go into our, if we go into our, currently we get to go into the admin window. So if we go into the admin window, exit the layout, go to our exit, we get to register 1, we'll go to register 1. From here we can go to clothing, and we now have a clothing layout, but we didn't change this to clothing, so we want to, because we want to be able to know where we are, right? That's the biggest thing about these labels, is it gives us the opportunity to know where we are at a glance. Clothing page. I like them to be big. I like them to be like on the side, like big, so you can just at a glance see where you are and what you're doing. And now with our clothing page, we didn't necessarily do anything, right? We didn't necessarily do anything yet. So, because if you come over here, if you exit the layout and you come over here, none of these buttons except for the execute button works. So if we edit the layout and now we double click on the menu button, we can tell it to now perform a script. Menu 1 script. Double click menu 1 script, and now this will take us to menu 1 just like that. And so for the exit button, we probably want to do the same thing. So we'll double click on the exit button and we're going to tell it to perform a script. And we'll add a new one and we'll call this exit button. And we're just going to tell that to go to a specific layout. You guys notice how much easier it's getting because we ran a script instead, or we wrote a script instead. So the layout that we wanted to go to is the entry page. Double click on that, we'll call it OK. OK. So now when we get to a space, and let's exit this really quick. Now if we can go to the menu, which automatically brought us up to category page, or we can go to the exit. Oh, we can't go to the exit on this page, can we? Because we didn't do the exit page, and we didn't do the menu page. Why? Because this is the menu. So we do need to do something for this specific menu. And I'll show you what it is. The exit page, if we double click, we'll edit the layout. Vinas, how are you? It's good to see you, Vinas. I don't usually do a lot of talking on this show unless it's to answer a specific question that has to do specifically with FileMaker. But in this particular case, we're going to do the exit button so we can perform our primary menu button, right? This is the menu button from our category page. What we want this to do is we want it to do nothing. We want it to go nowhere and do nothing. Now we can tell it to do something really quick, and I think this is probably the only occasion that we would ever do that. Stream is offline. My stream is not offline, Dork. My stream is online. I can tell. I'm on right now, this very second. So what I will do is, let's go to do nothing, and we're going to tell this one to just do a simple single step. And I'm going to type in show. That's going to give me show custom dialog. And I'm going to click on this little gear looking thing, and I'm going to type in something here. User error. And then we're just going to say something like, and you can have it like, you can mess with people and have like critical error. You can write whatever you want to, critical error. But this particular case will be requested page is already loaded and in operation. Please select another option to continue. Boop. Continue. I gotta learn how to spell. And then we'll get rid of the cancel button because the cancel button does absolutely nothing for us most of the time. And we'll call it OK. OK. So now this is going to be funny. So now when we get to the exit layout button and we press the menu button, it'll say user error. Requested page is already loaded and in operation. Please select another option to continue. I love doing that. I just love messing with people in that. It was offline for 10 seconds. I see. That's pretty cool. It was offline this particular stream, or was it? Because I saw that there was another stream that was for a second, and I think that was because Andrew pushed the wrong button once. So I had a 1 second stream. I don't know. It didn't matter. So now it's kind of funny because when you push this button, people are going to be like, the button is still operational, but it's not going to take you anywhere because that's exactly where you already are. And the exit button is different story, execute button is different story, and the invoice button needs to take you to the invoice. So we need to create an invoice button, or an invoice, a place to go for the invoice, right? So we're going to manage our layouts, and we should have the template register button. Now, let's go to the template register and find out what we did and if we're ready to actually do that. So exit the layout, and it looks really nice. I really like the layout that this is, how this is laid out. Invoice solution, that is great. We do need to have, let's see, what do we have here? I have a date, an invoice number, an invoice, but there's something I'm missing. So this date thing, let's manage our database really fast and see where our date is. So our date is just a date, but we don't want it to be just a date. We actually want this one to be a timestamp. So in the options, we'll do a timestamp. We'll tell it change it. And then if we double click on it, modification, date and time. So it will regularly always make sure that it's got the date and the time exactly as we need it to be. Now you will need to do this twice. We're probably going to need to make this a little bit bigger, and we'll set it dead in the center again. Hopefully. There we go. Put it up. Now, if you're doing a register 1 and a register 2, because you'll need those all the same data, but you'll need, like as you saw in our, when we managed our database. So in this, under your tables, we have register and invoice. And unfortunately, we can't put those in the same file, although it would be really nice if you could put them in the same file. Like there was like a little file that you could create, but you can't. So what we'll do is you'd have to create a register 2 and an invoice 2, and then do all of the fields that are for your register and your invoice on those new fields for the new register, for the new table. So you'll have to duplicate that. It was no, this one. Oh, I so did not see that. I apologize. I did not know that happened, Vanos, but thank you very much for telling me. So at this point, we don't have, if we exit the layout, we're good to go. Now I didn't make a single, there's not a single record, as we can see at the top here. It says no records involved whatsoever. So if you're happy with the way that this looks, if you're happy with the way that it is, we can go ahead and edit layout, manage layouts, and we can either change the number of but I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it and I'm going to duplicate it. And the register, I'm going to call this new register. I'm going to edit the register. And I'm going to call this register 1. And now our register 1, we got to take it out of the templates thing because we don't need it in the templates thing anymore. Should we put it in the product pages? Probably not, right? Because you're going to have a lot of product pages and you want to keep these as separated as you possibly can. So let's just create a new folder. It's not going to hurt us to create a new folder. And we're going to call this invoicing. And under our invoicing, we can now take our register 1 and move it down. See how I grabbed it and I just moved it down. So now it's in our invoicing. So now when we can go ahead and close this out. We can go back to our category page. Let's go back to our category page. We'll exit the layout. So exit will bring us here with the admin button, time card inventory. Go back and fix that and say do nothing. Now you guys, every single thing that I've done, you've done, and everything you've done, I've done. So your button should have lit up if you did everything exactly the same way that I just did. So let's go ahead and exit. We'll go to the register one. And now we need to fix this invoice. So now we need to be able to go to the invoice, right? So if we double click, exit, edit the layout. I gotta remember, edit the layout. I do apologize if you guys can't see some of these buttons, but sometimes they just put them in odd places. And we're gonna tell it to perform a script. And the reason why is because we're gonna have to do this to a lot of different things. We're gonna add it. And we're just going to call this one Invoice 1. And you can put like GT Invoice 1, go to Invoice 1 if you want to. That's fine. And we're going to go to Layout. Layout. And it's going to be right here under Register 1. And so now, when we do this, exit the layout, we now have an invoice button, and it will take us straight to an invoice. And this menu button, see where we're at, guys? This is amazing. So now where we're at is we can go to menu, and we can tell it to perform a script, and we can tell it to go to menu 1. And so now when we exit the layout, tell it to go to menu 1, it goes straight to menu 1. When we go back to the invoice, notice there's nothing here. So we actually do have to create a new record, and there is our time and our date. And we do want to go into, we have to edit the layout and then go to layouts, set tab order, clear all. So there's none there. Because that way it doesn't just automatically light things up. But as you can see, none of these other ones work except for tendered. But this one does, this one does, this one does, this one does. So we need to fix that. Holy Moses! Let's edit this layout. So if we go here, let's just go instantaneously into our deal, and we'll say not available in browse mode. Is there nothing there? We did nothing there. Not available in browse mode. Not available in browse mode. Not available in browse mode. And I think there is actually one underneath here, and we don't want that to be available in browse mode either. And I think I did a white script so you wouldn't actually be able to see it. So now if we exit the layout, none of this would be available to us at all other than the X button, and we haven't programmed the X button, and now the tendered button, and obviously the menu button. So I would go straight to menu 1. So if you guys haven't noticed, stream is off again. I'm totally not noticing this, but I'm going to watch the video, Vanas. So thank you very much for letting me know. So how this is going to work is you're just going to make like a gigantic circle. So if you figure out where you are, your exit, register 1, and if you go to clothing, you now have your menu button is available, your execute button is available, your exit button is available, and now we need to do the invoice button. So we'll edit, and it's a lot of monotonous stuff a lot of times, and we're going to tell this one that we want it to go to invoice 1. Now the cool thing is if we exit the layout and we go to our templates and our template menu, if we go here and we edit the layout, we can now tell this, we can say, this one we want it to perform a script, and that is to go to invoice 1. This one we want it to perform a script, and that's go to menu 1. This one we want it to perform a script, and that is to the exit button. And now what we've done is we've just simplified everything in the sense that when you go and you copy this page, these bottom buttons will all work flawlessly with your system, so that under menu 1. Now when you're copying them for menu 2, or for register 2, excuse me, if you have a second register, you have to go in and duplicate all of those things, but change them to go to a different invoice and to a different system. So your exit button would be the same. Your execute button would be the same. Well, not necessarily the same, but kind of the same. I'll let you guys, we'll get you there later. Right now we're just doing the first register, and then once we get, and let's see, I keep jumping too far ahead of myself. I don't know why I keep jumping too far ahead of myself. I guess it's just something that I do from time to time. But what we'll do is we'll get all that stuff done, and then we'll work on the second register. So let's start with the very first register until we get that done and going. So exit the layout. We now can go to the menu, to the exit page, to wherever we need to go. And from here we can go into our admin section just simply by typing in our number and selecting admin. Now we want to add that addition. So let's go back to here and let's add the addition of making, no, I was going to say I wanted to do that, but we'll do that in the next episode because we're breaking in on the time that I needed to finish this, to wrap this one up. So what we will do is I will show you really quick. We're going to do a monitor. We're going to go ahead and do a monitor page because we want to be able to monitor our stores, and I don't think that we've done that yet. So we will work on that. And the very next one, we are going to change this admin button and the administrator section. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to create a page that when you put a number in here, no matter what number it is, it's going to effectively work for you. And so that we don't have to write a super long script. Now, if it's just you and one other person, you have one manager and you give them all the same number, that's fine. But if you want different people to do different things, I need to show you guys how to do that. So if you've got 3 or 4 managers, or you have a bunch of different people that you want to get access to certain things or to go into certain places, I can show you how to do that too. We did it earlier on another video, but I'll bring it back and reintroduce that specifically into this video so that you can see how it functions with this system. So yeah, you type in 1, 2, 3, 4, and go to admin. Great. Unused, 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 exit. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to go into manage our database. And if we go to our tables, we will see that we have the menu page, the back office page, the admin, register, invoice, and inventory. Now, the one that we don't have is a monitor. And what the monitor does is it allows us to, we're going to transfer, every time you make a sale on an invoice, we're going to transfer, and you press the cash button. The cash button is going to capture that invoice, and it's going to hide it somewhere else. It's going to take it into a different place. There still have all of the data in your register. It will capture all that data in the register, but it's going to take it and put it onto a monitor system so that you've got a double backup. And the monitor system is the one that admin and management will be looking at. You guys will be saying, What the heck was that? So you guys, what you'll see is you'll be able to go to that monitor page, and you'll be able to get the information as it's listed, like quick. So we're going to go ahead and do our monitor page, and we'll create that. And now we need to start defining the fields that are in that page. So we are obviously going to need a date. Obviously, we're going to need a date, and that's going to be a date. And we will need a time, and that's a timestamp. And now what we're going to need is some pretty basic information. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? So we obviously need an invoice number, and that's going to be a control N because it's a number. And sometimes I go a little fast, and I apologize for that. If I'm going a little too fast for you, pause the video or just let me know. So we're going to need the invoice number, and then let's see, what else do I need? I need the date, the time, the invoice number. Now we're going to need to know cash sales. Cash sales, and that's also going to be a number. Credit sales, and that's also going to be a number. We're going to need tax collected, and that's going to be a number. Now this is going to work out beautiful for you guys, because what we're doing is we're separating it, and we're saying how much cash did you get? How many, what was your deal? So then what we're going to do is we're going to create what's called a total amount. So total sale. Total sale, and that's what that total sale is for. Is that's the total sale at the end of the deal. So it's basically going to be cash sales and plus credit sales plus the tax collected, right? So if we're going to do that, that needs to be a calculation or a summary. So if you want to do a calculation, just press calculation, cancel. Total sale calculation, create. Okay, so it's going to be cash sales plus credit sales plus tax collected. Pretty simple. It's basically you're going to have cash sales, credit sales, tax collected, and then the total sale. So that way, if you have someone that splits a payment, or they split up their payment with credit cards and cash, you now have that ability to be like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. I see what happened. Now we do need to have what we call a note box or an identifier. Because we need to, like, if someone were to dismiss a sale, or something were to happen with the sale and we no longer needed it, we need to dismiss. So we're just going to create something pretty simple. We're just going to call it notes, because I'm pretty big on that. And it's a control T. It is a text. Now, if there's anything else that you need for your for this, you can certainly add it if you want to, and we may add stuff as we go along. It's not that big of a deal, and we can do this. Will be a list view, so you're just basically going to see a list. We will need some pretty interesting things. We're going to need some summaries, right? So one of the things I like to do is you can have like a summary for your cash sales. So we'll do okay, cash total, and that is going to be a summary, and we'll create it, and it will be a total of cash sales. Pretty simple, huh? And then we'll have credit sales. What? Credit total. I am funny. And that's also a summary, and that will be of your credit sales. And now we need a tax total. We'll create that. And that is a total of the tax collected. And then the total sales. So that would be like the entire day total sales. So we'll do, we can just do S underscore total sales. Because I don't want to be total or sales total. I guess you could be sales total or whatever. But that just would be confusing. So we'll just do S underscore, because I understand that as a summary. S underscore is always a summary. C underscore is always a calculation. So it's just a way of making it happen. And this will be a total of total sales. So now what you have is, if you can picture this in your mind, a list view with a header and a footer, and they'll be separated by the date, because the date will be a category, so that will be the deal. So everything will be separated by the date. And then you'll have all of your information, which would include the invoice number. Now the invoice number is pretty insane perfect, because you have a 1 and then 7 digits after that. So you can always say that's register 1. And when you do the invoicing section for your second register, always start with 2 and then 7 zeros. And then that way you know that's register 2. Because you're never going to get that. I mean, you could sell all day long, unless you're selling hundreds of millions of product like all the time, then you're probably not going to surpass that 2. So you're not going to make it into a 3. I don't know. It might. If you do that, just add a couple more zeros to your invoicing number when you get there. So I think this is pretty much good to go, and we'll go ahead and call this good. And now what we need to do is we need to create a page for that. And then that page we will link to the admin page, and we can, the cool thing is you can duplicate it if you want to. You can just create a duplicate of it, and one of them you can have that is for your manager, that and we'll obviously show you how to do that, but one of them will be for your manager and one of them will be for your admin. So the manager one you will not be able to make changes to, but you'll be able to actually go through and see the actual file. You'll be able to go in, you'll see it, you'll know what all the sales are, and if you click on the invoice number, which will be highlighted in blue, it'll take you to that invoice exactly, so you can see exactly what was sold, exactly when it was sold, and blah blah blah, and what, you know, and if there were any mistakes made, then you'll know, like instantaneously. But I think with that, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I think hopefully I have been of some help to you today. Of course, according to Vinos YT, we've had some problems with the stream. I'm not sure if that has happened at all or not. I don't see any red on the screen. So I think we're doing good, and I know we're doing in super high def. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining me today. Please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that a great deal. And there will be all kinds of upcoming videos. I'm trying to do 2 videos a week on Filemaker until this is done. And when it is done, you can buy it for your store if you want to. I will sell you the solution without a problem. And then you can just kind of go back and see how it was made, and you'll be able to kind of figure it out and build whatever you want to from there. It will be a base model, but I will have it available to anyone who wants it. Just drop me a note in the chat, and it will be done in a month or so, especially because I'm doing 2 of them a week, 2 videos a week. So anyway, until the next time, guys, we'll see you here in a couple of days. As I say and have always said, be good to each other. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much for joining me. And if you have any questions at all, you guys need to know anything. If you missed something, if something didn't happen quite right, just let me know. If you've got any great ideas, let me know that as well. leave the comments below. I would certainly appreciate that. You are amazing, and I'm just blessed to have you guys watch my show. So thank you guys very much, and until the next time, we will see you guys on the next stream. Bye.